So starting in Year 9 Season 4, there has been some major changes. Thunderbird's Kona Station is now going to hit you with that health regen potion, giving you full HP after a period of time. Attackers are going to have less stun grenades, which is going to make operators like Jaeger and Y9S gadgets a little bit better. On top of this, there's been a few hidden changes to shotguns, which makes them a lot better, definitely impacting the likes of Mute and Smoke. So in today's video, I'm going to be ranking all of the defenders in Rainbow Six Siege so that you guys know which ones to play and which ones to avoid. So starting off with the big one, it is Thunderbird. Now for me personally, I thought Thunderbird was around a C tier last season, but Ubisoft have done some major changes to her gadget. Now when you get stimmed by a Thunderbird gadget, it's going to hit you with that regen potion, and you're going to be regenning health all the way up to full. So Thunderbird is literally going to be almost just as good as Doc next season. Now to be completely honest, this is probably what Thunderbird should have been from the start. I think this is going to take her from a C tier operator probably all the way up to A tier. I think we're going to see a lot of Thunderbird in Year 9 Season 4, and to be honest, I'm excited for it because I actually kind of like Thunderbird as an operator. She's just always been a little bit underpowered. Let me know what you guys think of the Thunderbird changes down in the comment section below. But a few other changes for Year 9 Season 4 that I think are going under the radar is the changes to shotguns, and I think this is going to make Smoke and Mute, two operators that heavily rely on their primary shotguns, a lot better. Now already I'd probably put Smoke and Mute in S tier. I think last time I did this tier list, I put Smoke in A tier, but I think he definitely is now one of, if not the best defenders in the game with this change. And if you guys are unaware what they've done, essentially all they've done is just make it so when you ADS with shotguns now, the pellet spread is going to be even tighter, which means from a little bit more range, you're still going to be able to do that damage. Now I really hope that this doesn't affect their pick rate and win rate so much to the point where they end up getting nerfs at the end of the season, but for now I think they are definitely going to be one of, if not some of the best defenders in the game. Another interesting thing that you might not have realized is the changes to stun grenades. Stun grenades in Rainbow Six Siege over the last few years have been the direct counter to operators like Jaeger and Y9S. People used to get 3 stun grenades and used to just spam them into the objective just to burn these gadgets, but now starting in Year 9 Season 4, every single attacker who has stun grenades is only going to get 2 instead of 3, and that's going to make these two operators a little bit stronger starting next season because you're just not going to be able to burn their gadgets in general. So I think again I put Jaeger probably around a B/C tier last time. I think he might finally be up into A tier again. I think Ubisoft probably need to put an ACOG on his AR still just to make it that little bit better, but other than that I think Jaeger is going to be the low end of A tier next season, and I think I put Y9S in A tier last season, and with this buff I think he finally goes up to S tier. I mean, I think he still has ACOG on the MP5K. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments, but if he does, he's one of the most complete operators in the game right now, and he has one of the easiest gadgets to use on defense. Now, another operator who got changes in the mid-season patch, so not the Year 9 Season 4 patch, the new season, but since the last time I made one of these videos, Mozzie has actually got a pretty big buff. He got an extra pest launcher and he got impact grenades added to his loadout, which kind of allows him to set up sight a little bit better, kind of like how he used to when he had the super shorty. Now again, I think I put Mozzie around high end of B tier or low end of A tier last time, and I think this finally solidifies him as a high end of A tier operator. I think Mozzie is finally part of the meta in Rainbow Six Siege again, and I think he's still not going to be just as good as Thunderbird now, but he's definitely going to be better than the likes of Jaeger. Next up then we have Alibi. Alibi is an interesting one because she has such a good SMG, so she's always going to be good at getting kills, but fundamentally her gadget just isn't that great. So I'm going to put her high end of B tier because you can still frag out as her. But if it was just off her gadget alone, she'd probably be down in F tier. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Next operator is going to be Aruni, one of my personal favorite defenders to actually play as. I love the passive ability of being able to punch holes in walls. And to be honest, I think she is an A tier operator. And I think she is one of the more underrated defenders in Rainbow Six Siege. If you guys use the DMR on Aruni, I think you'll actually love her. So give her a go in your next game, please. please. Next up then, we have Azami, and I think Azami is still an S tier operator. If you don't want to put her in S tier and you think S tier should be reserved for just the best of the best operators, then I think it's time we bump these down. I don't want too many operators in S tier, so I guess I'll only put a few operators in there. Bandit is probably close to going up into S tier as well, to be completely honest, especially if you know how to bandit trick, and I'm tempted to put him in there. And you know what? I'm going to. I don't care. Bandit has the MP7 and he has the ability to, as I said, bandit trick and stop hard breaches, which if you can stop a hard breacher, it might just win you the round. That is how important counter hard breaches are in Rainbow Six Siege. After Bandit though, we have Castle, who's another interesting one. Certain bomb sites and locations that you put his gadget could actually impact the round in a positive or negative way. So I'm going to put him in B tier just because he's actually kind of useless on certain bomb sites, but some bomb sites he's great. Next up then, we have Kavira. I'm going to put Kavira in... I'm thinking either low end of B or high end of C. I think I'm going to put her high end of C because, to be completely honest, she has a terrible loadout. She relies very heavily on her pistol, and if you don't get an interrogation off, what is the point of bringing her ahead of other operators like Doc, like Mute, Smoke, Bandit, all of these operators in A tier and S tier? You're better off bringing them instead of bringing a Kavira and trying to get an interrogation off. Now don't get me wrong, if you do get an interrogation off, she can be round changing, but it's just not consistent enough for me to put her any higher than C tier. Next up then, we have Clash, who is actually kind of getting a silent buff this season. She is going to be the perfect counters to the way the attacker shield operators now play, where they are not able to push in and bump you over and kill you instantly. Clash is going to be the perfect way to slow them down from a distance, do damage to them at the same time, and I think it finally bumps her out of C tier up into the low end of B. I know for a fact some people watching this video seeing Clash in B tier is going to absolutely trigger them. Yes, don't get me wrong, I hate Clash as well. Playing against her is very, very infuriating, but to be completely honest, she's not actually that bad of an operator. Her job is to slow people down, and that is exactly what she does very well, and she's going to be able to do it even better with the shield nerf this season. Next up then, we have Doc, who's always going to be around A tier, to be completely honest. The fact that you're going to be able to heal your teammates, you have ACOG on the MP5, and you know, there's nothing really wrong with him fundamentally. He's always going to be a good operator. I think he's going to be just as good as he was last season. I don't think Thunderbird getting buffed is going to impact him much. I think it's just going to make more people play healers in general. Next up then, we have Echo, who probably also slides into A tier. There's not really much I can say about Echo. He's just a good operator in general. Ella, I think, deserves B tier. I don't think she's as good as she once was. Yes, she, again, kind of similar to Alibi, has a decent SMG, but other than that, there's not really any point to bringing her when you can bring other operators like even Fenrir. Is probably the best trap operator in the game still. Now, Fenrir is still very, very strong in Rainbow Six Siege. Yes, I know his gadgets are no longer bulletproof, but these things still can stop people from seeing you and fighting back, and that simply alone is a very strong gadget. And to be honest, it's him and Legion who are the two best trap operators in the game, and both of them are very strong at the moment, so using both of them next season is going to be a massive W. Next up then, we have Frost, who I'm tempted to put low end of A, maybe high end of B tier, and I think she looks a little bit more at home around the operators in B tier, so I'm going to put her at the high end of B tier. Goyo is going to go mid to low end of A tier, just because, again, on certain bomb sites, if you put a Goyo in a certain spot, you can literally stop the plant, you can delay time, you can deal damage to people very, very easily, and he's just a good operator, and he gets ACOG on the Vector, which, if you can control the recoil of, might be one of the best options on defense. After Goyo then, we have Kaid, who's obviously just going to go up into S tier. When he's not banned, he's probably one of the most vital operators to bring on the defending team, because as I said with Bandit, stopping the hard breaches can literally win you around, and these two operators are the best at that. Kaid has the extra benefit of being able to get hatches as well, so on some basement objectives, he is crucial. Next up then, we have Capcan, who I would like to put in A tier. but let's be honest, he probably is just a high-end B tier operator at this point. There's just so many other operators in the game who are just consistently good, and it's kind of similar to what I said to Kavira. If you can get a free kill with it, it's good, it's great. It can be round changing depending on who you kill with it, and obviously getting a kill or just dealing damage with his traps is just going to help you in your gunfights against those people. But 9 times out of 10, people will see your gadgets, they will shoot them, and you will be completely useless. So in those situations, you're better off running any of the operators in A or S tier 9 times out of 10. After that then, we have Maestro, who I would like to put even higher in B tier personally, but looking at the other operators who are in here, he probably does deserve to be the low end of A tier, if not maybe the middle of A tier. For me personally, Maestro's just not an operator who I get along with very well. Whenever I play him, I don't do well. He's one of my lowest KD and win rate operators in the game, so I've just stopped playing him because he just doesn't suit my personal playstyle. After Maestro though, we have Melusi, an operator that I got clowned for a lot for putting so low in the tier list last time. Yes, I realised my mistake. She is actually quite meta at the moment. She's got ACOG, MP5. She's got everything that a defender could want in the current meta, so yes, I will bend my arm here. I'll put her at the low end of A tier for you guys. Now let's get a quick zoom out so you can see the rest of the operators we are going to be ranking here. Starting off with Mira, I think she's a high end of B tier operator. I'll be genuinely honest with you. I think Ubisoft need to think about buffing her, to be completely honest, because she's starting to become less and less seen, but also kind of useless on most bomb sites, because if you put a Mira in a spot where the operators can get the other side of it and just break the glass, it's useless, and an operator like that just isn't worth bringing most rounds. I don't know how Montaigne keeps getting in here, so I'm just going to put him in F tier. Just ignore Montaigne for this video. I don't know how an attacker got in the defender ranking video. But the next operator we are going to be ranking is Oryx, and I think Oryx is probably, if not the worst defender in Rainbow Six Siege right now. I really think Oryx is in a bad spot, and if Ubisoft is thinking about tweaking or remastering, reworking, whatever you want to call it, the next operator, I think it might be Oryx who needs a rework. I reckon they need to add one tiny little extra, maybe passive ability or extra little quirk to his gadget that makes it so he can be a little bit more useless. All it takes actually is for like a secondary gadget change. If he gets like a specific secondary gadget that makes him just a little bit better, it'll be 10 times better for him as an operator. But moving on from Oryx, we are now going to rank Pulse, who's probably high end of B tier, low end of A tier. It again kind of depends on the bomb site, because if you're playing in basement and you can watch people up through the floor, he can get C4 kills off. If you're playing top floor, you can go underneath the objective and deny plant. But if you're playing on an objective where there is no spot to do that, then he's not really as good. So I'm just going to put him in B tier. I'll let you guys decide personally where you think he should go. Next up then we have Rook, kind of similar to Doc, but just slightly worse gadget in my opinion. So I don't know if he deserves to be all the way down in B tier. I think he just deserves to be lower in A tier. I think Melusi's probably better than him, to be completely honest, but I don't think he deserves to be down here in B. Next up then we have Sentry, another interesting operator to rank. I actually think Sentry for the defenders is better than Striker is for the attackers, so I'm going to go up in the high end of B tier, and if you wanted to put him in low end of A, I could see that as well. Kind of similar to Pulse, just put him where you guys think he should go. I personally think he's probably a low end of A tier. Next up then we have Solace, another operator that Ubisoft have just ruined, to be completely honest. She is very, very useless with the way she works now. Ubisoft went way too far with the nerfs. I actually think she is a C tier operator right now. I guess she is a little bit more consistent than Oryx and Kavira, but for the most part, Ubisoft, as I said, have just ruined her, and she's no longer as strong as she probably deserves to be. I think Tachanka is probably the last operator to go into C tier, and if I had to put an operator out of all of these into F tier, it'd probably be between Oryx and Solace. I think they are the worst out of the four. I'd like to see Ubisoft buff Solace again, and then, you know, add that kind of rework quirk thing to Oryx, and then I think both of those would just go straight up into B and A tier respectively. But in the current meta, all four of these operators just aren't that great, and I think Thorn has the potential to be in C tier as well, you know. know. And you know what? I am going to leave her in there because she is another one of the operators that just no one has any desire to play because she's not really good at anything. After Thorn though, we have Tuberal, who's probably just an A tier operator. He slows down the ball denial and stuff like that, so you know, he's good, especially in tangent with like a bandit, because you can help them bandit trick better. Valkyrie is just an easy S tier operator every day of the week because she's just so goddamn good. And then Vigil, probably C tier, maybe low end of B tier, it's up to you. Warden, similar. Low end, high end of C, low end of B. I'll put him in high end of C tier, and then obviously we have Montaigne. Either way, click the video on screen if you want to watch me rank all of the attackers in Rainbow Six Siege. If you did enjoy this video, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you over there.